Vaibhav, also known as Webs in the industry. I'm going to kind of show you a real case study that we have been working. The research for this started in November 2023. So it's been approximately 1.5 years, a little bit more than that, if we kind of encounter how we kind of ramping up the team. And before I get started, I'll just tell you something that everybody thought we were crazy, but crazies are the ones who kind of wins the race. So I'll throw some metrics what we were going after. Gen AI, 50 million active users, at least 15 million concurrent users, and 99.9% accuracy. And why did we do that? We did that because those are the industry standards that everybody is used to. So we wanted to set that as a North Star before we started on the journey. And we're going to talk about where we are, how we have done it in last 2.5 years. And what I'm about to show you, even though it's one of the products from Zanser Media, during this journey, a lot of industry folks from Microsoft, Meta, Google, AMD, NVIDIA, Verizon, Paramount, BBC, everybody kind of came in, pitched their values, and helped us kind of push forward that we presented last year at IBC. So those are the big numbers that we started an ambition, because coming from enterprise world, those are the numbers everybody lives and breathe by, and we wanted to see how far we go. So here we go. Welcome to ICO. So what is ICO over here? Let's quickly go. Let's talk about why ICO. So any sports fan over here, there's a lot of cross-pollination of sports happening. Cricket is going to the US. I'm sure you have heard the news how Microsoft, Google are kind of doing a lot of sponsorships of bringing cricket in the US, and IPL was done in the US as well. Basketball, NBA, they are coming in Europe, and European basketball is kind of getting a lot of engagement. Football kind of taking, they have always had the fan base in Latin and Asia, but everybody is after one thing. They are after the first party fan engagement. Most of the fan engagement as of today are live watches. If you see YouTube, most of the content is on sports that's being watched on the live streaming right now. That's how the sports has evolved over here. And what everybody is trying to do is, at the back of this cross-pollination and introducing new sports like pickleball, how do you kind of get the first-party fan engagement? That's why this kind of a trend started that is boosting into fan engagement. The second part over here is the sports fan watching short reels. We are all Insta fans. We are all TikTok fans. And the new generation, millennial, Gen Z, I don't want to kind of point out which part of this, but you're seeing there's a new trends that everybody is getting more and more onto a reel style watch of the live match or a second screen experience. And this is a pretty good number. That attention span of everybody has gone from 2.5 minutes to 47 seconds. So looking at all these trends, the idea of ICO kind of was born, where you looked at federations, broadcasters, gaming industry, and how do you kind of do it. Why these three different ones? I mean, if you have watched Netflix, you can see media and gaming are coming together. If you see YouTube with a lot of sports channel, you see the broadcasters and the federations are coming together, sending their one. So there is a triangulation between these three large bodies that kind of support sports, and they're trying to do fan engagement over here. So that's why that's a whole new trend that we are starting in the industry. What does ICO do? It is not a boring chatbot. We will do a live demo today. It's an experience first sports companion. What does the experience first is? It's about having that emotional connection, ability to talk to you like your friend or a companion rather than a bot that is answering your question. And you can have a deep and meaningful conversation. Deep and meaningful conversation is you can banter with ICO about your favorite players. You can talk about ICO into a very, very deep statistics analysis where you're trying to get serious or you're super fan. So no matter what the conversation is, ICO is a specialized sports companion that is built on a hybrid LLM / conventional ML training that kind of provides a sports companion experience. Why do we do it? As I explained before, it enables sports business to penetrate to new market. If there is anybody from Asia and a football fan, you would know that La Liga, which is a football federation, has hired Surya Kumar Yadav which is an IPL superstar, for a brand representation in India. How cool is that? And if you see a lot of trends that is happening in Brazil right now, there are a lot of federations going to Brazil to kind of get the sports business access and have a first party fan engagement. So that's where it's being kind of looked at. Hey, it can become one of the ways how you can go about it. And this is the reason why we went into those big numbers. 99% accuracy, because if you're talking about a player stats, you better be right. Otherwise, you will have a lot of people trying to run to you and kind of shout at you and yell at you because you said something wrong about their players. Something the Stuart was talking about in his guardrails. How do we build that? So there's a lot over there. So that's why we kind of went with those crazy numbers. And if you look at the sports, let's talk about football or cricket. Every time they talk about the lineups and which player is going to play, there is a huge spike when the match is about to start, when everybody try to see, hey, who's going to win, why they're going to win it, what are the stats over there. So a lot of people, when the match is about to start, let's say 30 minutes, an hour before, they all go in and try to kind of talk about it, banter about it with their friends. So that's why we went to the spikes of, can we handle 15 million concurrent users over here? And that was the ambition that we wanted to go with. Uh, I want to go ahead and be one of the brave and bolds. I want to do a live demo, and let's see how it goes. And it's a live demo alert. So um, we have done it before. It has mostly worked, but we'll see. If you see over here, the reason I'm showing this demo rather than a specific Zanser Media demo is because we wanted to show you that it's just not one company that is behind this vision. It's the entire industry coming together, right? This was something that was done as IBC 2024. If for those who don't know IBC, it's called International Broadcasters Convention. It's the second largest convention on the planet and the largest in Europe. And we come together and we try to solve a problem that has not been solved before. Zanser obviously participated with ICO over there, whereas everybody else kind of chipped in and provide their value. So let's see how it goes. Uh, just want to run through the scenario over here. There are 3 live matches happening right now from a league, which is Gauteng League. We intentionally chose Gauteng League because everybody sort of knows Premier League if you're from the UK or Europe. We know Champions League. We know La Liga League. We know who those players are. But what about the uprising players? What about them? How do you learn about a new league, new player, new sports over here? So there are 3 live matches happening from Gauteng League. You have missed the first few minutes, depending on what kind of match they are. You have missed, let's say, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 65 minutes, depending on what match it is. And you're going to have a conversation with ICO that is going to create a personalized highlight reel for you. What do I mean by that? Let's get started and I'll show you. I'll create a profile. This is a lot of, we are capturing a lot of data over here. So compliance is big. So we kind of make sure about that.
Okay, so Lily is 12.
And here we
Hey there. It's great to meet you. I'm Aiko. What's your name?
Hi there, my name is Vaibhav, but nobody calls me. It's a long story, but for this one, just call me V. You will see that if I go wrong in my recognition, it will still figure out what I can.
Nice to meet you. V. Which country are you from?
Aiko, that's a long story. I've been living in the UK for the last 15 years, but before that, I was born and bred in India. So I'm kind of in identity mix over here. I don't know if I'm British. I don't know if I'm Indian. So I kind of term myself as Indian British right now because I've been part of both countries and cultures. None of this is hard coded. None of this is hard coded. So ICO, no matter what you throw at it, it processes it, it figure out what you're trying to do, and that's where agent.
Oh, that's quite a unique blend. V. The UK and India have such rich football histories. How long have you been into football or soccer? As they say in India?
Soccer is more for our friends across the pond. It's in India we still say football. So, but yeah, that's a long story. When I was a kid, I bought this game called FIFA 99 and became fan of football and Chelsea since then. So yeah, I've been there. And again, none of this is hard coded. I can make up anything and it will figure it out what I'm trying to do.
Oh, FIFA 99. That's a classic. And being a Chelsea fan, you must have seen some epic moments over the years. Do you have any preferred key moments in a football match that you love to watch? Goals, saves, penalties, perhaps?
You know what, Aiko? When I was growing up, my dad, he was not a football fan, but he would always watch telly when there was World Cup, FIFA World Cup, and I was in love with Ronaldinho goals and dribbling, and that was awesome. And remember how Carlos used to do midfield over there? That was awesome. Those are my favorite moments that I always cherish when I think about football. So the idea is you can have as long conversation, as rich like a person, and it will understand you, respond to you with equal emotions over here.
Ah, Ronaldinho's dribbling and Roberto Carlos midfield play pure magic. How about catching some
I'll pause the demo over here before I go move forward. I just want to show you what's happening behind the scenes very quickly. Behind the scenes, we have three matches, as I said before, and there are 87 events that has happened so far. So you have goals, corner kicks, saves, penalties, fouls, all those events have started happening for this particular football match. What we are doing over here is, and Aiko did not know who I was. As I'm having conversation with Aiko, it figure out what my name is. It figure out that, hey, I've been following it since 1999, so I'm a super fan, and it has started capturing information about me from the conversation. That's agentic agent number one, a persona that is having a conversation and trying to figure out what kind of person you are, what do you like, what you don't like. I'll continue the conversation over here. Now I will ask you to watch the highlight match. Let me just quickly go that over here. You know what? I love to watch the highlights from Kaiser Chief, but hey, I don't want to watch the whole match like my parents used to, who has 90 minutes plus extra time plus whatever they do in halftime. I just want to watch what I like. So just catch me up in the highlights, what I like based on what you know so far. It's going to go ahead, figure out based on my persona what are the things I like, and see if there is those kind of events has happened into this particular match. And it's going to stitch a personalized highlight reel on the fly for me based on the entire match feed.
All right, V. I'm stitching those highlights together for you.
So that's part number one, just to show you what happened behind the scenes. These are all the highlights that are available for the match. There are approximately 87 events that has happened, chances, heartbeats, corner kick, corner kick. But when I go over here, initially there was no highlights, but if I refresh, it has gone ahead and stitched a personalized highlight. Out of those 87 events, based on the conversation I had, it will go ahead and stitch just one for you. It's a low-level league. They don't have the budgets of Premier League. So what they've also done is we have processed Gen AI on it, which is the agentic AI number two, and that has gone ahead and do a accessibility-based commentary over here. Let's see that.
Kaiser Chiefs FC's Alejandro Gonzalez brilliantly dribbles past defenders, shoots, but Super Sport United's keeper saves. Rebound falls to Pedro Sanchez, who scores. The home crowd erupts as Kaiser Chiefs.
So the agentic AI, what it's doing right now is there is a part of AI that is watching what's happening on the video and trying to deduce whether it's a goal or save or a dribbling, and it's reconciling that with the sports feed that is coming about. Hey, jersey number 6 is Pedro Sanchez, for example, right? So it's that's why, and at the back of that, it's doing some intelligence to see that the audio video matches together while it's building a commentary. Because some players have very long name. You don't want to keep saying the player name by the time goal has happened. The synchronization is very important in sports, and that's what it's doing over here. So that's the agentic AI point two. The first one is on the persona. Second one is on the audio commentary. And the third one over here, which is doing the deep analysis in sports that I've not shown so far. And the fourth one is the one that is touching the personalized highlight reel over here. So that's the demo number one over here, ICO, an introduction. I'm not able to see any questions over here, but if there is anything, then I would ask Mohammed or Charlotte, please help me, let me know if there are any questions in the background. Okay, so back to presentation. That was a live demo. It worked very rarely, but it always works. You're always happy when it works. So let's go to the next one. So what are the things that ICO has done in the background? The first one is it does hour of statistical analysis in seconds. We can go very deep, that I will also show in my second demo, which is if you're a cricket fan, then you can go very deep. Hey, which middle order batsman scored most against Pacers on a flat pitch in last 3 matches in a particular stadium, Wankhede Stadium. Now, this kind of information, if you ask ChatGPT, Perplexity, or any other Grok, then you will have 50% of accuracy or even lower, or sometimes they would not be able to answer these. That's why we have built on top of those LLMs a specialized sports companion that can do very deep analysis. The second thing it's done, which we have seen so far, is personalized highlight reel on the fly. So from the journey, we started experimenting with these kind of personalized highlights, where we kind of build the highlights, you have seen the insights, and we also gone ahead and we worked with the likes of Microsoft and one of the world's biggest fantasy sports customer to see how does it behave in real life. And what better was there to do the World Cup? There was a World Cup last year. We went ahead and we wanted to do this. So I'm going to show you the same different technology, the same technology that was used for football. How are we doing it in a very different scenarios for cricket? All the things over here from the match and statistical point of view are real data. None of this is hard-coded, except the contest that people can play on fantasy sports, which is hard-coded over here, right? So you have two options over here. You have all the live matches that are coming up in India Premier League, and then you have a generic crickbot over here, which is powered by ICO. Or point number two is you can have an app experience over here, where when you go ahead and select a particular match, you want to see a lot of statistics for that particular teams, where the stadiums are happening and what's happening, what's going on over here. Now, if you have ever played fantasy sports before, or if you're a sports fanatic, then it's very low statistic that you want to do. So what we created was, we created an in-app experience where you can go ahead and ask these questions. Now, this is ICO, again, agentic model, which is in the deep statistic analysis. You can ask about, hey, which batsman has scored the most against Pacers in this tournament on a flat track pitch? The three important part over here that broke our back when we were solving this is we're not asking who has scored the most runs. We have asked which has scored most against Pacers. Then the second one over here is that you do into the, you do in the column says this. So it needs to understand what this tournament is, which is over here. It recognizes and have a contextual awareness. And the third one over here is what sort of pitch over here. Cricket is a sport where you're playing matters a lot into different formats. So it has correlated all the data and has given you answers over here. That in this case, it was batsman is Ishan Krishan. And we have compared again with ChatGPT, Perplexity. We have our benchmarks and analysis. We are somewhere between 88 to 95% of accuracy consistently for 6 months, depending on what kind of questions you have. If I go and change the question into a different part over here, let's say that I ask different questions. I've not asked the question against the Pacers. I've asked which batsman has scored the most in this tournament on a flat track pitch. The answer would change over here. In this case, fortunately, it's Ishan Kishan, maybe because he has done really well on flat track pitch, but the answers can change. So that's the same AI, Gen AI, that is performing in a very different environment. Right now, we talked about 99.9% of accuracy. That was the big bold step. 15 million concurrent users, another big statement, and 50 million users. I'm pleased to say that we are right now at 5 million active users with 50% of concurrency, and we are between 88 to 95, 88% as an average. But if you take the few scenarios out, depending on what kind of question you ask, we are averaging out at 95%, 95. And we are slowly building the needle towards 98 or 99%. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to achieve, simply for the reasons that we have told you. It has taken a good market validation. And let's see what happened behind the scenes. So if you look at the solution, and when we compare it with the topic of today, agentic AI, how the AI agents are working towards each other. So you have the front-end user app, which can be, in this case, a web app, but it can be an AI, the voice-only AI that is talking to you when you're in a car driving and you can't watch the match. Or it can be Alexa, it can be any front-end channel over here. We have 4 different agents that we are behaving right now. It's a super high level and it's oversimplified. There is a lot happening underneath. So we have built an agentic AI with stats analysis that goes and give you very deep stats. The second one is the personalized highlight reel, the one that kind of creates the personalization for you after looking at your profile and what has happened in the match. The third one, which we also did with our partner Magnify, which was on the live match auto content creation. If you pause a cricket match or a football match, it will create a metadata in the background stating whether it's a goal, or in cricket, if it's a 4-run or 6-run or any of those sorts. And the next one is audio description. We tried very hard to create the human-like commentary, but again, it was done last year. We have been improving dramatically, but we had to accept that we were not able to match the commentator you would see. The emotions, the synchronization when the events are happening, we are still working on it, but we were able to create the audio description at the back of this. So those are the 4 agentic AI agents. Key differentiators, why we get a lot of questions on, hey, why don't you use a ChatGPT or Perplexity from our customers? It's a B2B solution that we are providing to our customers. It's not a B2C. So we go to clubs, we go to federations, we go to different iGaming providers, sports books, fantasy sports provider. And everybody asks me, hey, I can just use ChatGPT or Perplexity. Why do I need this? And here is the reason why you need this. The data source, LLM is worked on the mix of trusted and contaminated data. We have taken approximately 1 year to get licensed enterprise sports data that everybody trusts. We have removed public data from it to reduce the hallucinations. There was a question to Stuart before that, hey, how do you kind of create the guardrails? So this is one of the steps that we had to do a lot of sanitization in data and make sure that ICO does not go ahead and start giving you statistics that doesn't go very well. The accuracy, everybody works on something known as a RAG model, which is, hey, the LLM, if they were trained, the last snapshot of training was, let's say, January of this year, then you augment your existing data to kind of bring accuracy. But we have seen when you're trying to solve these complex scenarios, the accuracy is low to medium at best. And on the public one, we have compared you're ranging between 50% to 65% of accuracy when you're trying to go this deep. We are at 88, now 90, and growing over here. The gold star is 99.9, but as you said, there is no 100%, so we are kind of going towards 95%. Hallucinations. Hallucinations happens because Gen AI has a fantastic way of creating content if it does not exist. That works against you when you're trying to fetch the information that you only want to look at. So there are hallucinations medium to high because you don't put those guardrails when you're asking those questions. But in our case, we invested 18 months just to build those guardrails so that the refund policy that Stuart talked about doesn't happen in our case. You are working with enterprise customers that have millions of sports fans, and that's why we have invested 18 months of building this IP that hallucination are extraordinarily low. Of course, we cannot go to 100%, but that's where we are. LLM, they're very powerful. They try to cover all the scenarios. We don't. We only and only work for federation, clubs, broadcaster, fantasy sports betting. And there, it's like a pendulum. Like sometimes you want to go and ask all the questions. Sometimes you build a focused conversation. LLMs, large language models, small language models. Now there is a medium language model. Everybody's coming with a language model, but you have to be very focused when you're trying to do the enterprise grade accuracy, and that's what we are obsessed about, and that's why we wanted to kind of go and have a differentiation of FICO. So this is why we don't use the public LLM, even though you have an enterprise version of ChatGPT. We use those technology to build a specialized sports companion. Who are the target audience? So of course, we have federations and clubs. We are in talks with a lot of federations and clubs. You have broadcasters, especially for the hyper-personalized reel. I don't know if everybody heard Adobe's announcement. It's a hottest potato in AI world. Everybody's trying to get the personalized highlight reel into the mix. What makes us unique is everybody is doing a visual based from the AI point of view. Everybody is doing a visual reference of personalized highlight reel. Hey, show me the highlight reel that has orange cap in it. Where we are saying is, from the sportsman point of view, they're never going to ask who has this orange cap. They might ask, show me Messi's, but what we really, really want to know is, show me all the goals from Messi. And that's what makes us unique. And that's why we are sitting on top of complementary technologies like Adobe or other hyper-personalized reel and providing this over here. And the last one is iGaming, fantasy sports, sports betting. Everybody wants to have a fan retention over here, and we are talking to a lot of companies over there across the planet. And the response is it couldn't have been better. So very pleased to see where we are. Agentic, how does that work? Hyper-personalization, stats analysis, commentary, and AD. We have these, we tried everything in our journey, trying to do everything in one agent. It failed miserably. Our first accuracy was at 13%, 1-3. But we tried to move it to 95% over here. We had to get into agentic workflow very early. And this is a very high conceptual level of how we have kind of divided and they talk to each other, passing on the information. And that's more about it. If you'd like to have any questions, post this one as well. Of course, I'll be at speaker panel, but this is the QR code. By all means, take your cameras out and add me to LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any questions over here. Thank you so much, Cambridge Service Alliance and Mohammed for this.